Okay, so I haven't made a video in a while, and I wanted to make one now, and I'm going to show you some modifications you can do to your Fender Squier, specifically your Fender Squier Stratocaster, and I know there's millions of them out there. If you have a Squier, you might like it, you might not, but the main difference that I think the main difference with a lot of these Squiers is something called the Trem block. And this is the old school Trem block that's just what they call pot metal. It's aluminum alloy, some junk. See, listen. Thud. That's you get no response. Your response isn't quick. It's a POS. Okay, so how you change this? First of all, this is like that. It goes like that on your. This is not Fender, but that's how it goes. And to get it off, you have those 3 screws. You just unscrew these screws and replace that Trem block. And what I would suggest is a place called guitarfetish.com, and I hate to advertise for anybody, but that's where I got the Trem block that I'm going to show you how to install, and it is a worthy improvement. That's solid metal, and just a great big difference. So what you're going to do is to take this off. Well, first of all, let me explain. You have 2 types of Fender Trems. One like this is a 2-point. It's a fairly new concept for Fender. And the other one they have is a 6-point. 6-point means there's 6 screws, and you're going to have to take all those screws off, but it's basically the same thing, but I only have 2 to deal with, and I don't even have to mess with them. And I'm going to show you how to do that. First off, they do make Trem blocks, replacement Trem blocks in steel and in brass. The one I replaced is steel, and it did not fit in my guitar. And I'm going to tell you how to make it fit without really going through a whole lot of trouble. This was the shorty, what they call the shorty, and it was really pretty inexpensive for the improvement it's going to make to your otherwise non-responsive, cheap-sounding, crappy guitar. It's going to turn it into a gem. Okay, so to do, these are the springs. I'm going to take these springs off. It's a multi-tool. Whoa, just like that. I could have been a surgeon. Yeah. Okay, so I have that. As you notice, I still got my strings on too, huh? Let's see how that works out. Because I did not want to change a set of strings. I use Fender bullets, by the way. The bullets go in these holes, and they stay centered. They're just way better strings, in my opinion. I'm not going to get into that now, but they are. So now to see if I can take this thing apart without taking the strings off, and I don't think I'm going to be able to. I wish there was a way to put this video on pause, but I'm shooting it on the iPad, so I don't think that's going to work. Might just have to cut these strings. Alright, well, I guess I just have to replace the strings. This has to come out. And watch it not come out even when I do take the strings out. Okay, so it looks like I guess this video is good for one thing, and that's that it shows you exactly what I'm going through. So when you're going through it, if you decide to go this route, you're going to understand the problems that I have, but ultimately I was successful, right? Okay, so this is your trem block. Like I said, world of difference. And the problem with this is that it didn't fit. And the reason it didn't fit was just it was just a little it was a little wide this way, or long if you want to call it. So I'm going to sand some more. I shaved this. I just took a Dremel tool with the Dremel bit. I actually used also a bit, and I used a file. And I only had to take off, not much, maybe I'm thinking 1.5 millimeters. And anyhow, you can see I had it installed. I'm gonna have to shave off some and leave that for another time. But the way you put it back in is just you put the plate, really you put the plate in first. You're supposed to take off the saddles, but I didn't. I cheated because I did take them off when I did initially install this, and it had to be reset up, and I did that by myself. It's fairly easy. I'm going to show you a tool you can do that with. Harbor Freight, big caliper, and what you do is you measure from the back of the nut. If you want, you can get, you know, some people do center, but I do the back of the nut, and then center this end on the 12th fret. You could actually make it go a little past, but it doesn't matter. What you're going to do is you're going to take that length. This is something to tie it down with, and there you have it. You have that length, and that's your octave from your 1st fret to your 12th fret, and that's what you're measuring. Then you're going to take this part, and you're going to put it in the center. That's why I use the center of the 12th fret. And this part is going to go right where the string goes over the saddle on the E, your high E string, and that will give you your 2nd octave. So you'll adjust your poles, your whatever saddles here. You'll adjust them. Screwdriver goes back there and adjust. You'll adjust it until you get it so that one octave is the same as the next octave, and you'll tune it up open So you'll tune an open E, and then you'll put your finger on the 12th fret, right there, and you measure it again, and they should be exactly the same. Personally, I like using a chord pitch black because it's a real good tuner. I just like it. If you got a better tuner, don't use a crappy tuner to set your guitar. Use one that's decent. Okay, so you'll do that, and that's how you set up your intonation. You're going to do that with all your strings, your E, A, E, B, G, D, A, E. Do them all the same way. You'll have to back it off a little bit. That's why you see people have a little pattern here. You'll figure it out once you start tweaking it, and little adjustments go a long way. You're going to be there a while. Have fun. So anyhow, that's two things talked about, or one thing. I don't know, I'm losing track here. Another thing you can do is your whammy bar. If you use a whammy bar, that's a whole different ball of wax. But since you're replacing the trem block, I might as well talk about the whammy bar. And I would suggest getting a couple of these because you can experiment. You can experiment with what you like. This is what I like. I like it kind of down as opposed to up and out, and I like it shorter. I can just keep it right there in my palm. You can take, sometimes these are loose, this one's not, but if it was, or if you had an extra one, you could cut it with the Dremel, cut it here, and shorten it, to whatever length you want. And how I got mine bent, I got a desk full of clutter, is I took a piece of wood and I drilled a hole. I forgot what the hole is. It's the same as, it's a little bit bigger than this, but not by too much. And I stuck that in the hole, and I bent it to what I felt was comfortable, where I like that. It's just kind of stands up too much for me, and if you put it in a case, it kind of hangs out, so that's why I wanted mine with a lower profile, so I bent it. Okay, so that is two things. The next thing is you can clean out the inside of your cavity. What I mean clean it out, I mean take a Dremel tool, take off some of that poly, bad word, poly, but you can clean this out some. That's wood, pretty much, and that does a lot. It just lets your guitar breathe. It lets the sound. It's kind of like a sound hole effect. It just kind of amplifies the sound. And with your new trem block, your guitar is going to scream. Your Squier is going to be like it's going to be a much better guitar, let me just put it that way. Okay, so that's it. I'm not going to go on while I finish putting my guitar back together. It works, and I'll try to have another improvement on pickups and pickguards coming up. So until next time, thanks for watching and take care. Thank you.